It's another week in the For Your Reference household, but a first honourary reference degustations, because so far we have and will be covering all of Jordan Peele's films, from Get Out to Us and now
Nope.
Check out our interview with Jordan Peele friends and lovers on the main feed and our King Kong episode for a layered Peele double feature extravaganza. Yeehaw! Let's get on with the show. Friends and UFO non-branded UFO lovers, welcome back to the For Your Reference podcast. You got your host Katie
and Oti.
Giddy up, friends and lovers, as we navigate gentrified museums, otherwise known as modern Hollywood. Take control of the narrative with Nope this week. Woo-hoo-hoo. Before we completely get swept away, this is another reminder to go and listen and watch our interview with Jordan Peele about Nope. Let's get into general stats and information. Officially, this film was released in July of 2022, released in August of 2022 in Australia, written, produced, and directed, loved and nurtured Jordan Peele. Executive producers of Robert Graff, Win Rosenfeld, produced by Ian Cooper, and actors Daniel Kaluuya, Hallelujah. Keke Palmer, a first for the For Your Reference podcast.
A first.
If you're nasty, we're sorry to the woman, because we absolutely know the woman, Keke Palmer, we fucking love. Stephen Young, not a stranger, I guess, while we're here. Okja, as well as Bernie. Michael Wincott, Brandon Pereira, as well as a tentpole in Hollywood, not just Black Hollywood, Keith David.
Woohoo!
Well, let's get into first impressions for a film that was shrouded in the conspiracy cloud of all of the secrets. Oti's Chamber of Secrets, if you're nasty.
All right.
There's absolutely a lot to talk about, and we're so glad we can finally, talk about the film and we can release our full review of No. There's definitely some themes I want to get into, but just generally, because I do want to talk about Jordan Peele's work, but let's just talk about first impressions specifically for Nope, given the nature of spoiler, Mantis Cam.
Wow. I didn't know anything about Nope. I knew that there was a movie called Nope with Kaluuya in it.
Yep.
And that's pretty much the gist of all I had to comprehend. In my head, I knew, by the fact that the title's called Nope, I knew in my head what the movie would be, sort of, or at least I had a preconceived idea, but nothing really concrete.
Yeah.
So a day prior to us watching this, I think we had gone to a screening and there was a trailer for Nope. I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
The black phone.
Yeah. I was like, why did they have to do this to me? But I saw UFOs. I was like, okay. And then that started making me reevaluate what I thought Nope would be. So surprising to say, what I thought Nope would be was sort of covered in as well.
Okay.
And I felt a bit vindicated to the fact that, I wasn't far off. I could tell pretty much where I was going just by the title of the fucking movie. And it was really interesting seeing how it sort of juxtaposed the whole idea of having that moment or having that sort of clarity in a black character in terms of Nope, the title or the word Nope, and what we all sort of yell out or scream at as an interesting horror viewer.
It's like a play on a tired trope.
Exactly. And seeing how they overcome that or how they become more than just that, it was wild and really enjoyable to see.
Oh, absolutely. And, we've mentioned a lot in our review sort of episodes how we feel, first of all, it needs to be like an event now for us to go into the cinema, because we have a pretty good home watching experience, pantsless and otherwise, if you're Jupiter Cox nasty. So we definitely avoided a lot of the trailers. Like OT said, it's unavoidable when you're inside of a cinema to not watch the trailer while it was there. But even in saying that, the trailer that we saw in the cinema, it was very ambiguous. So maybe that was also Jordan Peele's way of saying, you want a trailer? I'll fucking give it to you, but you're not going to get anything out of it. Right? Yeah. So I guess let's get into my first impressions. I also want to say right off the top, if we're treating this like a reference degustation, I believe Nope is my favorite Jordan Peele film.
Okay. I hear you.
And it's wild because if you go back and listen to our Get Out episode, and for a lot of the Get Out is kind of my benchmark of perfect films that exist in this like modern sort of 2010s, 2020 setting where you kick Mike White the fuck out of the White Lotus and you let people write their fucking stories in front of the screen and also behind the screen. You thought I wasn't going to talk about the gentrified museum of the White Lotus?
Wow.
I'm going to get some merch called the Gentrified Museum.
Okay.
You're welcome.
You do you.
But in any case, I really, really loved Nope. I think I achieved my final form of being like Busta Rhymes. When we came out of the screening, I was like, I was going through all of the themes that I was extracting out of the film. And I can't wait to talk about everything. And, we've only watched it the one time, but we're obviously going to continue to watch this film. And there's going to be so many layers we can unpeel out of it. And I'm so glad we were a part of the initial discourse of Nope. Very excited to talk about it. And also off the top, friends and lovers. And if you are a new friend and lover, welcome to the For Your Reference podcast. We always talk about being a safe space, but we're also a place for growth. So if you haven't done the work, it's going to fucking challenge you. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say that is because this film absolutely works on the surface as a like UFO, big budget blockbuster type film. But and we're going to get into the themes, but if you see the way that the Haywood family is introduced and you don't tether that to the blackness and the foundation on which modern Hollywood was created, then that's on fucking you, right? Because we are frame of reference each and every. Oh, so now am I too black for you now?
Nah, bro.
Where's OT from Soul Food?
He's here. Don't you worry.
No, but that's just it. Like, people talk about not wanting to get political, but if you're talking about Nope, if you're talking about Get Out, you need to address the blackness in the room.
Right. I get that and I accept that. I think most of it, the first intrinsic feeling that I felt coming out of the cinema, having come and watched this, is sort of joy. And I think that was the most overwhelming feeling for me at the time. Mm-hmm. And I had to sit down for a bit to just marinate over exactly what I'd watched. And yes, the things that you brought up were sort of addressed, and it's clear as day.
To you, and that's what I say about frame of reference. Black joy is one of our themes, so we'll come to it. I don't want to stifle your black joy, but we will talk about black joy in a second. But that's what I'm saying. To you, it was clear. To me, it was clear. But I'm just saying, like, if motherfuckers want to eat around the clit of truth, that's fine. But like you said, and like I say, it's very clear that there is a through line of the foundation of modern Hollywood being influenced and contributed and taken from black culture through way of black people. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I agree.
All right, now that we're both embodied of Issa Rae rooting for everyone black, let's get into the themes that are introduced in Nope. Again, first viewing, there's obviously a lot to unpack with all of the layers, and we will continue to, reveal more layers as we have another watch of the film. I just want to talk generally about Jordan Peele's work. We can talk about Candyman, which I really love that recording. We had a very good time. I got distracted by OT's Domingos, absolutely. And we can also talk about Twilight Zone as well. Stephen Yeun was also in Twilight Zone. But if we talk about his feature films, we have Get Out, we have Us, we have Nope. And I said it maybe for a shocking soundbite, but I truly mean it, that Nope has really hit its stride in being able to meld the worlds of fantastical themes and grounding it into real life shit, like the fucking dumpster fire of America right now, sending love to our American friends and lovers. And I like, it's just, there's so much considered detail and nuance that is weaved into these fantastical themes, which is bolstered by a lot of the characters, you know, taking control of their own narrative. And again, there is so much to talk about in this film, but in a soundbite, I believe that Nope really straddles where I am so excited to continue to go with Jordan Peele's work. I feel like Get Out does play to more to like what you would expect in a horror, what you would expect in a thriller. So it's definitely got those notes there. It is centered in real life, but you do have a couple of steps away from reality in regards to, you know, the embodiment of Black athleticism and bodies and that sort of thing. So you can kind of, you know, it's kind of like Upgrade, Lee Winnell, where we can kind of detach ourselves for a second from it being grounded in reality. But we absolutely love Get Out. Us didn't necessarily work for us. And as I continued to watch Nope, it was clear to me why. There was a sharpening of the storytelling tool that Jordan Peele had in Nope that wasn't necessarily missed in Us, but I think there was a lot of aesthetics perhaps that were more at the forefront of Us. And I just believe there was a much more, you know, assurance in the pen that Jordan Peele was wielding. Not necessarily that he didn't have assurance in himself, but even in interviews with Jordan Peele, he talks about how this film couldn't have been made 5 years ago. To have a predominantly Black cast, to have a Black director telling this film as it is. And again, this is going back to if you think it's just a UFO film, that's obviously not the case based on that particular comment. There's so much to take out of this film, and there are so many layers. We do have the fantastical nature, and even the scale of this film is like big budget, big action sort of scale. Because when you think of Get Out, and even when you think of Us to a certain extent, it was quite insular in its scale and in its cinematography. It was very much where the story was taking us. Nope was very expansive. There was so much detail and there was so much breathlessness in the expanse of the shots. And, you know, you put Daniel Kaluuya on a horse, I'm there, friends and lovers. Like I had a great time watching this film, but it really was a beautiful moment to be a part of in the tapestry of world cinema. Yeehaw! Essentially.
Yeah, yeehaw indeed. I am with you 100%. I still think after watching Nope, I probably need to watch it a couple more times. Though moments, I understood what he was trying to do.
See, now Soul Food OT is coming. Successfully executed, not trying.
Yeah, successfully executed. I'm with you. I took it and understood it, but I still think Get Out sort of resonated more with me and connected more with me. And I do get the sense, in as much as it was so groundbreaking what Nope achieved, at least for my perspective. And I think walking out, I've never felt that before. It was a completely new feeling, you know, especially in the sort of sci-fi horror genre where you just don't get a lot of Black happiness and Black people and Black just camaraderie and fucking, I was fucking coming in that theater.
And I was, yep.
No, it felt fresh, which we've watched a lot of shit. It rarely feels fresh.
Yeah.
It's all a remake or a take or a retake from something. And I just appreciated the effort here and the vision and foresight to do this.
Yeah.
Because you can tell that it's been in his mind that he wanted to do something so different from, you know, he gave us Get Out and Us, yes. But something like this was completely left field, right?
It was his most cinematic film. It was the film for film lovers. And
100%.
For all of the nasty, for your reference, friends and lovers, there was absolutely so many threads that you can pull on in this film, and the scale of it, like, it was fucking breathtaking, man. And I know, usually that's not necessarily something that I'm drawn to, in regards to the aesthetics of a film, but I really feel like it really came together, and yeah, it's a film lover's film, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it would be good now to sort of dive into the themes.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go to Black Joy. What I will say is we've already said spoilers. When we're coming near the end of the film and we had OJ on the horse and we had Emerald reaching out, I was just waiting for OJ to say, "Hey there, little troublemaker." That's a Django reference. Go and check out our Django Unchained episode, Friends and Lovers. But you're absolutely right. It felt different. And I guess if I even just like for a baby second reference Django Unchained, there were so many brutal scenes because Django was about slavery, and it felt, because it was Quentin Jerome Tarantino, it felt as though he found the most horrific accounts of Black people dying and he just put it in the film out of context because he wanted it to be put there.
Rest in peace, D'Artagnan.
Well, there you go. That's Tarantino's gentrified museum. He just plucked things, and it was so hard to watch that film to get any sort of grounding, because even in Inglourious Bastards, we had characters that were getting scalped, for example, but they didn't get backstories like the Black people in Django Unchained. So there was definitely a lot of layers of pain, which we didn't necessarily feel in Nope.
Yeah, we're just going to tell you about everything about D'Artagnan and then show you him being fucking mauled by bloody dogs. You know?
Yeah, but I think that's what happens when people just want to write stories. Aaron Sorkin apparently saying you can write stories from any race. But anyway, I got a bigger bone to pick with Mike White. But you know what I mean? Like, there is a stewardship and there is a considered handling of care when you're writing your own fucking stories.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, Black Joy is so big in this. And I think when coming up with interview questions to ask Peele,
Do you mean the question that you asked Jordan Peele specifically and you got a thoughtful answer for?
Yeah, that's exactly. I think when I was coming up with the questions, I was writing a lot of questions and they're all fucking Black related, or at least I had black in the fucking sentence. And I think I had to sort of reevaluate and try and recalibrate how I'm going to ask these. So I didn't know what the mood would be. And I think that's my fault in assuming that it will be an issue when clearly the first word out of his mouth was fucking Black Joy. Yeah. And I had that written down. Yeah. Because it's wild that in this day and age when all the shit we've watched, there's the onus of, showing the struggle is important, all that. Yeah. It's a thing. But sometimes you want escapism as well. Yeah. And I think what Nope delivered is, in OJ and Emerald's character, is that bond, familial bond. Yeah. And having a fucking win at the end. Yes. I got fucking emotional in that movie. Yeah. Tears just fucking streaming down. I was like, bruh. Yeah. Come at me. I'm not. I think those like little laughters here and there and whatnot, but I think that moment was such a heartfelt and such a resonating moment.
It was fucking triumphant. Like, I'm surprised you didn't like say, "King Kong ain't got nothing on." Nope.
Did you look at the room you were on, bruv? Did you see the room?
I think you and I are still trapped in the end credits of Nope.
We are.
Well, we're going to continue because as long as OT is on the For Your Reference podcast, we are always going to have Black Joy unless he's talking about belly. The next theme that I wanted to come to very perfectly comes into what you're talking about, and it's Hollywood. I kind of want to continue on the thread that you are pulling on, if you're Nest, in the film criticism space, because I think we've kind of loose pill pocketed in the podcasting matrix. The film criticism space can be very white, as we know. And obviously that reflects in who gets access to films. I'm glad that we had access to be able to watch Nope. And exactly like you're saying, especially for a film like Nope, I didn't feel like I was good enough to be there. I didn't feel like I was good enough to interview Jordan Peele, even though quality is quality is quality. Mm-hmm. Even though we put so much love and work into this podcast and we really dissect and hold a lot of characters to account, there was a part of me that felt I didn't measure up to. We have a lot of learned friends and lovers in this space, even our patrons that love and support us. And it fucking intimidates me that people that have gone to film school, that lecture about films, would want to continue to care and listen to whatever the fuck we have to say about films. So for all of the films to be our first film and for all of the interviews to be our first, for some fucking reason, again, the whiteness of it all, I didn't feel comfortable taking up space in a space that we motherfucking belong in. So let's go to Hollywood. Again, it was very clear to me the layers that we had in Nope. I guess mostly the main thing that Black people are the pillars of Hollywood. If you think about shows like Succession, if you think about a legacy, if you think about a lineage, the fact that there's no documented evidence about the Black rider of the horse, that is the first really early iterations of moving pictures, of modern cinema, of film as we know it, perhaps because it was a Black man that it wasn't documented, but it was so crucial to the creation of what we consume until this day. It's deliberate at that fucking point.
It is, and I think they brought up concerns like, people don't remember his name, but the person that shot it. You know, it's those
Edward Muybridge.
Yeah, it's those distinctions that are there and affect, and it causes a sort of cascading effect through the generations.
Yeah,
you're so far removed from what you think as a Black kid. You ain't never gonna be shit. Like, you watch Hidden Figures and you think like, whoa. Yeah. Well, Black women
Sci-fi.
in fucking, what is this?
Yeah.
And that's the fact, and that's sort of where the lens was sort of pointing at in here. And I was appreciative. I didn't know about that. It's good to know.
Yeah.
And when I had it, I wasn't like blown off. I was like, of course it is.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about fucking right.
Yeah. And, there was a pivotal scene right after Otis passed away, and Emerald was running late, but OJ was on set with Lucky. And what I really love about Jordan Peele, and I think what really bolsters it, even if we're talking about Taika Waititi, is you write what you fucking know about. And a lot of the commentary and the meta sort of references in this film was to Hollywood, right? Yeah. You have the cinematographer that we get to know a bit more about later in the film, Antlers Hoist. And then you also have the star on set. And there's so much like willful ignoring of OJ's character because he's trying to tell them what's best for Lucky, but they don't fucking care, right? And there's a lot of layers that I want to talk through, but the treatment of the animals definitely has parallels to the minorities, and I guess those that don't get the spotlight in Hollywood. Right. And what was really interesting was when it got to a point where Lucky wasn't essentially going to do the shuck and jiving that they wanted, they still wanted the effect of it, but they removed the actual existence of the horse with the visual effects. So there's nothing wrong with visual effects and it's great, but I thought it was quite tantalizing to have that example of they wanted the effect of the horse in there, but they didn't want to have to deal with the real life experiences of a horse. So they removed out of there. So I thought that was quite interesting. Again, the through line of Hollywood is quite present. There's a lot that I want to talk through today, so we might not get to talk about Antlers a lot in regards to him being a cinematographer, but I do want to point out, since we're talking about the theme of Hollywood, how, Emerald and OJ called him up for an amazing opportunity to capture something that's never been seen before, and he wasn't interested. I'm sure he gets offers all the time, but he was only interested when he realized he was going to get that ROI. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Self-fucking interest at its best.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's one thing being told that, hey, you're going to get this, it's going to be a good idea, a good opportunity for you. Yeah. But you don't believe it until, until it's abundantly clear. You can tap into the culture, you can tap into something else and get your own fucking niche or advantage or whatever it be. And that's how it works.
Until it's like a sure thing.
Because who fucking takes a chance?
But when it becomes a sure thing, what did you contribute to get it to the sure thing?
It doesn't fucking matter. You put your stamp of a seal of approval.
But that's exactly it. The proximity of power that Antlers has is exactly the commentary that Jordan Peele is giving in interviews, saying that he wouldn't have been able to make this film 5 years ago. The Antler Hoists of the world would have been making these films. You see what I'm saying? So that was absolutely interesting. Through the themes that we're going to talk about, we're absolutely going to talk about Hollywood as well. The next theme that I wanted to talk about was Jordan Peele talks about the concept of a spectacle. And what I thought was really interesting about it was he wrote the screenplay in 2020 and, descending into a continual fucking dumpster fire that the world was going through. There was a lot of feeling of release in this film. And I definitely want to, kind of cultivate that particular line. But in general, this film is all about spectacle. They talk about UFOs in this film. They even talk about how it's even potentially rebranded. So people aren't as shocked anymore. It takes the buzzword away from it, but it's still ever present. It's still omnipresent, It's still that big eye in the sky. It's later on called Jean Jacket by OJ. I have a theory, OT.
Come on, lay it on us.
My theory is that the UFO isn't necessarily a UFO, but it's Hollywood.
All right. Why is that?
Okay, Agatha O.T. Christie, I will play this game with you. So essentially, the way that I consumed Nope on the multi-layers that is presented. So if you're not picking it up, it's on fucking you. But what I picked from it was essentially the UFO, the presence of the UFO was Hollywood, right? And we talk about the sentiment all the time of wanting Black culture, wanting to profit off Black culture, but not necessarily wanting Black people or the presence of danger of Black people, right? So in the UFO, you see them sucking up particular items, particular people. So that's kind of how I see the entertainment industry in Hollywood of all of these sort of stories, right? I don't know, friends and lovers, I talk about having gaps in cinema, but there are some films that I'm not necessarily interested in watching, like Dances with Wolves. Kevin Costner, sorry to this man, I do know this man. Even with Rutherford Falls, Jana shared a post the other day because there was a genuine article saying that Rutherford Falls might be the reason why Yellowstone isn't getting the attention as much as it should be. Because there were lines that were parallels that were being drawn to Yellowstone and the fictional TV show that they have in Rutherford of overly caricature portrayals of First Nations Native American people.
Fuck's sake.
So there are some things that I'm not necessarily interested in watching. Even Breakfast at Tiffany's, the portrayal of Asian people. And unfortunately, black and brown face and yellow face still happens to this day. But, when we talk about Hollywood, it's really just picking people's fucking pain. Look at the Academy Awards.
Right.
All of the Black actors, or most of the Black actors, Lupita most loving, but company included, they get their big breaks out of slave films. Let's talk about the BAFTAs. Daniel Kaluuya, hallelujah. Michaela Cole, Damson Idris. When you talk about like the up and comers, you'll see so much diversity in like the new talent of the BAFTAs. But when you start getting to like best actor sort of categories, it's all fucking white. Can we talk about it? Or is the eye going to suck me up into the sky?
You're going to get sucked up, but you might enjoy it.
But I guess what I want to like continue to excavate, because I am an archaeologist, but I'm an ethical one. So I'm not Indiana Jones or Tomb Raider.
Bloody hell.
Is Jordan Peele bringing this out of me, or is
Why
it myself?
Why are you fucking dragging every other fucking... Hey, leave people's childhood heroes alone.
Okay, O.T. Pepe Le Pew. Like, if you're fine with not holding to account the caricature and sometimes willfully dangerous stereotypes that were embedded into your Tintin, then fine. See?
Wow.
See, I don't need a rhyme book for all of these racist caricature stereotypes. They're all just coming out of the dome, OT.
Wow, clearly.
Do you see how fucking easy it was? And we're not talking about Cosby, but in Kamal's documentary, they talked about how Bill Cosby was one of the first Black actors, so they got white people to literally use black paint as the stuntman. That's as much as I will say about Cosby, but there you go.
Yeah. I hear you.
Spanish fly or otherwise. But what I will say is, feel free to face it or not. I did say, OT, it was a safe space, but it is for growing. I did say that. If we talk about the hierarchy, unfortunately, there is a racial hierarchy, especially in Hollywood, but even the world, but we'll stay inside of Hollywood, where you have, specifically in Nope, you have the Haywood family who, again, You know, Emerald was even saying they're the only black ranchers. You know, like even that in and of itself in modern times. But if we go back to the foundations of the Haywood family, it doesn't make sense that they're not more prominent in the scene.
Yeah, like fucking black jockeys. They're the first ones to fucking win races. First ones to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Where are they now? They were chased up, pulled up from the spot.
Yeah.
Find me a fucking black jockey now.
And you think about basketball and football, it just happened that there was athleticism. You think they really wanted to let young black athletes in there? Watch people see their favorite team lose and hear the racial slurs, and you'll absolutely know that they didn't want that. See? Welcome to the Matrix, OT.
Yeah. Thank you for drugging me, mate.
So you see the Haywood family, where if we talk specifically about them being ranchers, where their talent and what they have to offer is completely being detached from who they are, right? Even to the point where they get like a digital VFX horse because they didn't want to have to deal with that. So that works on that layer.
Yeah.
And then even if we're talking about Ricky Jupe Park, as an Asian, unfortunately, they're kind of seen as like the model sort of minority, the amicable minority, right? So he was able to leverage his pain and his trauma, but still be embedded. You see what I'm saying? He at least gets his foot in the door.
Right.
There's not a lot of white cast in this film, and I don't know if it was deliberate, but to me it felt deliberate that really the only presence of a white character outside of Hollywood was his wife, and they created a whole fucking amusement park on his fucking trauma. You told me she wasn't a mini UFO. I'll wait, OT. So I personally, yeah, you're welcome. They don't take you to Quanon, but they take you to truth. That's where my conspiracy corners take you, friends and lovers. But that's genuinely how I feel about the UFO sort of spectacle or jean jacket. Thoughts?
You've raised a couple of good points. I can see where you're going with it. I think your theory does have a bit of weight to it.
Because I'm pretty sure I gave you at least 10 separate examples.
You did. Just because you could pull examples out of your ass doesn't mean it's correct.
But you like the sauce, don't you?
I love the sauce. And I give credit to the sauce. See, attribution is fucking key, motherfuckers. Anyway, I hear what you're saying. I think for me, I wanted to believe in just the spectacle being a spectacle because I love the sense of adventure that it brought about.
Yeah.
And this is where it got us the sort of Nope meaning. Like, you know, when I hear Nope, I was... Yeah, we'll have fucking moments of clarity for OJ and for him to be presented in certain scenarios and they'd be like, yeah, fucking nope.
Yeah.
Which was the case, but he took it farther. He chose to be purposefully ambitious and adventurous.
Absolutely.
In trying to get not only that bag at the end or what it symbolized to capture the moment in history where this would change their lives.
Yeah.
But also, just fucking why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've never seen that before.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not him being sucked up by the UFO, the first one, you know, he'd probably be the third one just because to break the trope. But he'll never reach the end. He'll never be successful to achieve that or even to dream that big.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where the juxtaposition comes in for me. You know, the I'm daring you as a fucking black character to say nope in this moment.
Yeah.
The exactly moments where we'd all scream nope in the cinema.
Yeah.
But then
I felt like we had to be very quiet. Like if we were in like a bigger cinema or if we were at home, we definitely would have had a more visceral reaction. But it felt like we were sitting in church.
it felt like we had to behave in a certain way based on the surrounding, and that's fine. I still enjoyed it intrinsically, and I was still shouting it, inside. So it doesn't matter. At the end of it, it was up to OJ to break free from the shackles of what Nope represented.
Absolutely.
And to bring us joy, adventure, and happiness at the end of it. And I think the UFO was there to be that tentacle where it's like, hey, I'm weird, I'm wild, I've been here. Now this is your opportunity to see what you can do for me as a black character.
Okay.
And because he says, I think that this is one of the moments where I loved in the movie where OJ comes up and says, I'll be the one to tame him.
Huh.
I'll be the one to train him because I can do it. And they showed it. They showed moments. He's very close to the ranch, his animals. He's very proud.
Yeah.
He's proud of what his father has achieved.
Yeah.
And he was very clear about that.
Yeah.
He said, despite my father being a fucking hard man,
yeah,
being fucking hard to love, he still built something that's worth protecting because against all fucking odds. And once he said that, the kind of shit his dad had to go through.
Oh,
the kind of shit he had to put up and put a smile on his fucking face because otherwise that ranch will be no more. He got business when it was against everything. And for OJ to come up and say, I understand all that. He was a fucking hard man to fucking love. But I will not abandon whatever he's created here.
Yeah.
And this UFO ain't got nothing on me.
Hey.
And
Denzel Washington.
What else do you want from that moment outside of fucking joy and happiness and just doing your fucking backflips?
Yeah.
Got me so hard.
Billy O.T. Blanks.
And I love that. And I think that's what the UFO for me symbolized, the audacity to dare or to dream big, If it was a fucking advertisement right now, it'll be fucking Matt Damon daring you to be brave because fortune what?
Favors Matt Damon.
Exactly.
Friends and lovers, get you podcasters that can talk about layers in Nope, but also reference fucking South Park. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love to see it. And I like that you co-sign. Thank you for endorsing my theory about Hollywood and all of the less than savory portrayals. I don't think this is going to stop people touching my hair and calling me Moana, but baby steps, OT.
We can't have a live Moana, mate. Back the fuck down.
Well, I think, yeah, there's definitely a lot more to you fuckhead.
You're welcome. You're getting too happy I had to bring you down, mate.
Wow. Is that what you got out of this film?
I'm in Australia. It's called what? Fucking pop syndrome? There it is.
Tall poppy syndrome?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you should be redirecting that, not towards another minority, but it's okay. You definitely were not watching this on the layers that it was afforded.
Well,
OT.
I still need to do the work, so...
You do. You absolutely need to do the work. For lack of better word, I called it victims. I didn't know what to call it, but it's essentially everyone that became victim to the UFO. All right. I call it Hollywood. You call it breaking the shackles of expectation, right? But that's essentially the theme that I want to talk about. I talked about like the detaching of Black people and, Asian people are still embedded in regards to Ricky. What I thought was really interesting, if we talk about the spectacle being the UFO, being Hollywood in my particular theory.
Right.
And we talk about the victims. Again, this is coming back to all of the examples when I talk about Black people, First Nations people, and also for my fellow brown people being portrayed without any sort of co-signing at all, right? We're now coming to perhaps a revolution right now where we're seeing, like, even if we talk about like Black creatives, Black showrunners, Insecure, Issa Rae, Robin Thede as a part of the Issa Rae deal with Black Lady Sketch Show, Quinta Brunson with Abbott Elementary. Even most recently, we're watching Phoebe Robinson's Everything's Trash. Like, it's unfortunate that maybe the trend is that Black culture and Black showrunners are marketable now, but at least what we're seeing is the more taking a risk and taking a chance for Black stories that are intrinsically about Black issues, right?
Yeah.
And we say it a lot of times on the podcast, it is a Black film. I don't think it's a derogatory thing. I think it's more about the audience if they think it's a derogatory thing. But it's a Black film, but it can be enjoyed by people that aren't Black. That is the through line that I feel absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a film. I think it's a film. It should be enjoyed by all.
Sorry, there's nothing on my list for the theme of Black dicks. Just Black joy.
It's too big to fit on the page, mate.
Can we get to where we need to go, sir?
I get your sort of sense of victims and the sort of trauma it encapsulates and it monetization. I understand that. I just think that because we got shots of the victims being sucked up and them having no way out. It was pretty much dead on arrival at that point. I still think once the sort of, because the aspect of the UFO is it spat out anything that it didn't like or anything that it could hurt him, right?
Anything that it couldn't exploit fully? Oh, interesting. Layers, motherfucker. Do you speak it? This is just calcifying my theme.
I know. Oh, bloody hell, mate.
But essentially what I wanted to come to when we talk about the victims, because you're saying, right, and that's exactly what we see with OJ's character. He was never seduced by the eye. So he was never really exploited in that particular way, right? If we're talking about this theme. So the reason why I brought out black showrunners and black creators, or even Donald Glover as well for Atlanta. So something that I thought was really interesting, and that's why I wanted to bring the themes and, even Donald Glover with Atlanta as well, is there is that confidence, or if we want to be more cynical, the being able to market black creatives and black stories, right? But in any case, we're seeing, and again, I talked about Michaela Cole, I May Destroy You. We're seeing black creatives, black showrunners being able to create their stories and take up space in Hollywood. Right? So this comes back to the film that I thought was pretty compelling, and it was kind of solidified by a lot of the characters, again, taking control of their own narrative, especially if I talk about Ricky. He found a way to monetize his trauma because if the UFO Hollywood sort of entity is going to continue to tell these fucking caricaturistic stories, then we're going to take control of our own narrative. And that's what I saw in the final scenes of the film, which were very compelling. And you talk about getting very emotional. I got very emotional, I think maybe 4 times watching this film.
I know.
Thank you. And in the final scenes, that was where I just really, I'm not part of evangelism, but I am looking forward to Honk for Jesus with Regina Hall and Sterling K. Brown, which is also Jordan Peele and Daniel Kaluuya produced. Nice. I'm not into evangelizing, but I think that's the closest I've ever experienced to completely succumbing to the moment.
Wow.
OT gets all my seed money, but otherwise, like watching this film in the last few scenes, because I was operating from the theme of these characters, like, if we're talking about OJ and Emerald, or even if we're talking about Ricky, being aware of the inevitability of surveillance, the inevitability of, you sound like you had a terrible childhood. Let me make that into a fucking film. You look like you'll make a good maid, Octavia Spencer. Let me take you out and send her a white savior. Julia Roberts, you look ready to be a white savior as well. District 9, Neil Blomkamp. Let's get Sharlto Copley and have another white savior. Let me pluck all of these aesthetics. Get with it or get out, you fucking prawn.
Bruv.
But my point is, if we're aware that Hollywood is going to continue to tell stories that aren't theirs, and you're aware that there's going to be a continual surveillance of who you are and of your genuine pain and trauma, the least you can do is take control of that narrative.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw particularly with Ricky's character. I wouldn't say that the film was lacking. I was just very interested with Ricky's backstory. What I thought was really interesting, and that's why I call it the gentrified museum being Hollywood, because when we meet Ricky, he kind of takes us to his pseudo sort of museum. And friends and lovers, we all know how I in particular feel about museums. Stop taking bones that belong to people and living culture and put it in your fucking museum.
Yeah.
Go and listen to our Mystery Road episode, friends and lovers, if you want to hear more about that. But essentially, he's talking about an SNL skit and how funny it was, but you see those flickers of a flashback, right? So you see that there's something more bubbling beneath the surface with Ricky's character, that he hasn't necessarily been given the space to be able to heal from that shit, nor will he be given the grace to do that. So again, that's my interpretation of him being aware that people are always going to be morbid and curious. Again, why I fucking hate true crime podcasts, because it's wanting to feast off that morbidity because your life is so fucking boring. Fuck off. I'm coming for everyone, OT.
Clearly.
But we see so much layer and we see so much dimension in what the inevitability of the decision that Ricky made of, okay, so you're going to treat me like an animal in the zoo. Fine, I'll monetize it. And that's where you see the little museum with the memorabilia that he has. And this is bolstered in the example where Ricky is telling Emerald and OJ that I think it was a Scandinavian couple paid like tens of thousands of dollars to spend a night in there.
Right.
And he kind of played it off as a joke, but you know they're getting off on that shit. I don't know if we're going to cover Where the Crawdads Sing, but I've heard many things about the author. But that's what I'm saying. If you can get like a Hollywood film being made by an author that is quoted as saying, love Africa, it's a shame about the people, then fuck Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And the click they claim, OT.
Yeah, indeed. I'm with you there. I'm with you 100%.
I kind of want to, they're still kind of the victims, but I kind of want to focus on the animals. Earlier in this review, I talked about the feeling of a release. And, again, we don't know what the intentions were. And Jordan Peele is very gracious and he kind of lets people have whatever they want to have as an interpretation. There was the layer of, again, people being exploited by Hollywood, which we talked about. But there's also animals being exploited by Hollywood. And for me, I kind of took it on the level of that bare, primal, animalistic sort of need to fucking release, man. Like, if you even take into account that this was written in 2020, if we think about like, unfortunately, like even in like New York, in really in the thick of the moment where they were using like ice trucks because they were over capacity, the mortuaries and that sort of thing. When you think of how devastating it was for everyone, but even particularly in America, to go through so much in the pandemic with George Floyd, with Black Lives Matter, sort of protests, and also school shootings that we're seeing here, Roe v. Wade, all of this is making me want to puff my chest and go and fight people. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I talk about that primal animalistic nature of a feeling of release. Because when we see all of the animals, like Ghost was the first example of just fucking running through that field. I'm like, yes, please. I want to break the loose pill pockets matrix. I want to opt out of the matrix. I want to just run into the bush and never come back again. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Like sometimes it just feels like too fucking much. This colonialized, capitalistic fucking world that we live in is just too fucking much sometimes.
Yeah, and I think there's different ways you can take Gordy's outburst or
Gordy's party.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Gordy's red wedding. There's multiple ways.
You be Gordy?
There's multiple ways you could take that. And I think at the sort of base intrinsic level is he was fully fucking deserved to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of the time when we look at circuses and whatever and how they handle the animals there.
Yes.
And then you read a story about an elephant tramping on its fucking trainer. I'm like, good, bro.
Well, there you go.
Good.
There you go.
For fuck's sakes.
Yes.
I'm not going to feel sorry for you, bro.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But like it works on layers as well, because even if we talk about Gordy the chimp, it's not natural to put animals in a TV set fucking life. It's not fucking natural. So like you say, when we go full red wedding on your ass, don't be fucking surprised.
Yeah.
And I, again, on a primal animalistic sort of nature and just wanting to yell at the fucking sky since 2020, it was the release that I fucking needed.
Yeah. Probably people out there thinking, oh, how fucking sad to lose those people that way. I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you bring situations upon yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you want to think that turned Gordy's mind, be it the UFO made him fucking go berserk against all his natural instincts.
But it's the basis that it's not natural for Gordy to be in that fucking environment.
Mm-hmm.
To continue to be exploited.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you here. I think looking back at that scene and seeing Gordy react that way, and even the interactions between Gordy and the family, we saw he was closer, or Ricky paid more attention.
Mm-hmm.
And even when Gordy was going berserk,
yeah,
Gordy was about to go fist pump Ricky.
Yeah.
Just because that relationship had already
Ricky
been
did nothing
set.
to him.
Yeah. Ricky did nothing at all. So it shows you it's not that Giddy lost his mind. Giddy was already fucking pissed already. He just needed that extra motivation.
I hope that 12-year-old girl from Air Force One was there. That's what happens when you treat people like animals at the zoo.
If the postmaster general was there, everyone would have walked out of that set alive. And that's a fact.
But I absolutely agree with you. And, even when we talk about Lucky, where we had, Ricky kind of making a show and dance, and you had all of the audience there, and they were all getting Homelander zapped. I was like, fucking yeah. You came here because you wanted to gawk at a fucking animal? Fuck you.
Yeah, and the best part is that Luck is the only one that fucking alive at the end of it. Mm-hmm. So good on you, mate.
True OG.
Yeah. I loved how they did that animals bit, because I think a lot of the times we tend to see things one way, and this is comforting us to see that there's multiple facets as well, and that things that we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely love it. I do have some references, and what I think is really interesting is, again, we've only watched this once. Right. A lot of the notes that I had was pretty much what we're talking about today. So can you just imagine poor OT at the end of this film and me just dumping everything that I felt about this film?
Mm-hmm. I'm the taxi driver.
Yeah. Speaking of Taxi Driver, when we're talking about Gordy's scene, it kind of reminded me of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Oh.
That talk show sort of moment. We're not going to spoil it, but we do have a Joker episode if you want to go and listen to that. OT did not respond to my Lady Gaga news about Joker 2. So that will remain to be seen if that will be a main episode review. But going back to the Joker, there are references that are drawn from Robert De Niro's The King of Comedy. So I'll be interested to watch that without having any sort of periphery of that particular reference. I couldn't help but think about Joaquin Phoenix's Joker when we were watching Gordy's scene.
Anytime I hear Kings of Comedy, I just think of Bunny Mark. Rest in peace and power.
Well, there's your black text. There's your black joy.
You cannot say to a black man Kings of Comedy and no fucking mention Bunny Mark. Yeah.
But yeah, so is there anything else you want to discuss? I've got some other references that I felt throughout watching the film, but is there anything else you want to discuss?
No, go for it. Let's hear the references, mate.
Okay, so just while watching the film, I couldn't help but notice parallels. They're not necessarily going to be a for your reference, but these are the references and sort of tasters that I felt watching Nope again for the first time, but we are going to watch it again, so we're very excited to watch it again. I immediately thought of the Simpsons episode of Just Don't Look, where you had a lot of those sort of statue figures coming to life, right. But if you didn't look at them, then they wouldn't really come to life, which kind of feels like Toy Story, but the messaging of that Just Don't Look sort of episode I felt was quite striking, kind of worked on the layers of Nope. Black Mirror. It's the first episode about the Prime Minister being coerced into fucking a pig.
Yep.
Because if we talk about a spectacle, I thought about the Prime Minister and how we had one of the characters being able to escape because everyone was so fixated on whether the Prime Minister was going to fuck or not.
Yep.
Babe or otherwise.
Fucked though, so yeah.
Yeah, that's a Porco Rosso for another reason, OT. And then the other one that I thought of, which is like, a lot of people said that it wasn't a funny episode because it wasn't supposed to be. That was the fucking point. I'm referencing South Park again, the Britney Spears episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bit too close to the truth, mate.
But even if you think about it, if we talk about like exploiting people, it's exploiting that pretty pop sort of starlet and everyone not being able to look away from it and absolutely not doing anything about the situation. And I guess, feeling the need to have that sacrificial sort of lamb. And I guess you could even say that there are sacrificial lambs in Hollywood, especially when you have non-gender film bros being like, it's just a movie, bro. Mm-hmm. Why are there black people in my sci-fi film?
You can see a fucking green person as soon as a black person walks in, mate. It's no bueno.
So those were like the sort of like flavorings that I was feeling while I was watching Nope. But there we are, friends and lovers.
Yeah.
Ooh. Are there any final thoughts that you have, my love?
If you're a fan of the podcast, you know, we go hard on feelings and emotions and everything that evokes in us. I think Nope was the best sort of example of what that solely meant or encapsulated.
Mm-hmm.
I think talking about it and experiencing it in such a way that not only was I sad for a moment, but came out feeling quite happy and appreciative of how far the industry has come, how far we're willing to push the boundary and to redefine what Black means and what it can be shown. Because if I was a fucking kid, I'd fucking love this and beyond. So, man, I think this is my favorite for the year.
Yeah.
And it would be for quite some time.
Yeah. I don't want to take anything away from you, but I don't necessarily think it's progress. I think it's those that are in power continually, like if we use a Succession reference, like the dinosaurs of Hollywood just holding on to the power that they have. Because really, if we're in the 2020s and we're still getting like the first trans women to win an award, MJ Rodriguez, we fucking love. Like if it takes that fucking long, then that's just a reluctance to allow people to have space. That's not necessarily kudos, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. You know, take it however you like. I think just being an opportunity to be alive and to see this, to appreciate it in all its glory, I loved it. So however that is, progress or not, I'm there for it.
Wow, this really just proved that, you know, in the Belly universe, I am the DMX, rest in peace, and you're the Nas.
Oh, bloody hell.
Friends and lovers, thank you so much for joining us. Another muy caliente week in the For Your Reference podcast. Usually we do finish off in a For Your Reference sort of segment, but this is an honorary reference degustation as we have covered all of Jordan Peele's films. So instead of referencing or recommending other films, we'll reference Get Out, Us, Nope, and from the man himself, Jordan Peele, the original 1933 King Kong. If you hear me before you see me, I got King Kong in my trunk.
Yep.
If you would like to see if King Kong ain't got nothing on OT on Twitter and Instagram, we're at For Your Refpod.
Write us an email at hello@forpodcast.com.
We're also on Stop Wearing Other People's Fucking Skins to Write Your Own Fucking Stories. If you're not compelling, just sit the fuck out podcast. If you'd like to leave a rating and review, and we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Mwah.